The Real Investment Show.
Interesting article on in the Wall Street Journal today talking about the future benefits that you'll see potentially at work. And it's talking about the workforce of the future, right? And so already, we're seeing companies now going, hey, you need to come back to work at least 3 days a week. The work from home thing didn't really work out well with everybody just working remotely. Productivity was a problem. And of course, what we're finding out now is people had, 3 or 4 multiple jobs that they were all working at the same time, even though they're supposed to be fully employed by a company. They're working 3 or 4 full-time jobs, which certainly goes to suggest that the person you have working for you, if they can work 4 full-time jobs, you're not giving them enough work to do, right? People are crafty. Give them plenty of give them some room to operate, and they'll figure out ways to take advantage of it. But this is an interesting Wall Street Journal story because this goes to the heart of one of the problems that we've had over the last 20 years. And will continue to weigh on the U.S. employment going forward as well. The workforce of the future, I'm just going to read to you from the Wall Street Journal here real quick. The workforce of the future will be made up of a greater mix of employees of all ages as people live and work longer. This is according to economist predictions. As a result, companies competing for these workers are expected to offer more benefits tailored to needs at different stages of life. So this is all fine and dandy. Right, so what are some of those different needs? Stints and sabbaticals. Options for work abroad stints and sabbaticals will increase, managers predict, prompted by millennials and Gen Zers who say travel and life experiences are keys to happiness. Just hold your comments for just a moment. I'm not to the end of this yet. Global-mindedness, empathy, and respecting different cultures are all accomplished by sending employees to different places, they say. For those who have traveled abroad, this is going to be important. Daycare for parents. We are seeing a move now of more multi-generational families as kids move back in with parents, parents move in with children. And because we have done such a very poor job of financially preparing for retirement, this is going to become a much more commonplace thing in the future. We'll start seeing houses with 2 master suites, right? One for the owners and one for the parents. Those type of things. But daycare for parents will be another option. On-site counselor. As workers' mental health struggles continue to gain attention, companies are looking for ways to respond, providing safe spaces and counselors for workers to talk to. Post-parental leave. Now that paid parental leave is widespread, watch for companies to add a transitional period at the end of that break designed to let employees ease back into work. Don't want to just throw them back into the madhouse. Hyper-personalized benefits. Imagine a company covering ski equipment as an employee's preferred form of exercise, or housekeeping services counting as a wellness stipend. Okay, these all sound great. Now, this is all just theory from the Wall Street Journal. These are not reality, of course. But here's the problem with all this idea. These have a cost. So while we talk about, this idea of wealth inequality and wealth gaps and these types of things, the problem with all of this is that it requires money to pay for these things. That is an additional cost. So if I'm going to pay Brent $80,000 a year to do his job, or whatever his job is, $50,000, part of his compensation is going to be these additional benefits. However, here's the problem. If I'm producing a product, right, or a service, in order to maintain my profit margin and my earnings, I need to lower my in-house cost. I do that by outsourcing those jobs to countries that don't require a parental stipend or a wellness counselor at work. These people show up to work, they work 7 days a week for $2 an hour and jump out of windows, and we're okay with that, right? Because we get cheap products. As I said before, we export inflation, which is all these higher costs and benefits, to import deflation so we can buy cheaper stuff. So yes, we will probably provide some of these things because of the mistakes that we made as parents raising the next generation. Once Dr. Spock, not the guy from Star Trek, by the way, once Dr. Spock started, lambashing parents for disciplining their children, and we needed to move to timeouts. And then we graduated from that to giving everybody a trophy for participation. We did not equip our children to deal with the competitive nature of employment, which is exactly what it is. If I go to work for a company, I am competing, A, for that job, and B, I am competing for the next job higher to make more money. If I've got an employee that shows up 5 days a week, every day, does their job, doesn't complain, produces above expectations versus one that shows up and needs counseling every week, which one do you think gets the promotion? Again, those all require costs. Here's the other problem. When those costs go up, companies have to do what? They have to find ways to offset those costs. And they do that through what? Robotics, automation, artificial intelligence. Another article in the Wall Street Journal brings this to a very clear perspective. The number of workers for an S&P 500 company required to generate $1 million in revenue has gone from 8 in 1985 to 2 today. So in other words, companies are becoming much more efficient about the labor that they hire to produce their revenue. So yes, I can provide these other accommodative services to entice you to come over, but I'm enticing you to come over. I'm going to pay Brent $50,000 for a job that I used to pay somebody $100,000 a year to do because I've automated a bunch of that work. Wages have not kept up with the pace of inflation. Wages have not kept up with the profitability of companies. Wages have not kept up with economic growth over time because of automation and all these type of things. When my father was alive, I remember when FedEx first came around. Everybody was like, who the hell needs something overnight, right? But my dad picked up on it. He's like, this is not a great thing. When the internet started coming around, he said, this is not a good thing for workers because this allows somebody to do more work with less, which means somebody loses their job. And that's been the case. A lot of people used to say, well, no, automation is good because if we automate a bunch of stuff, that means we're going to have those people, handle the automation, right? Somebody's got to if you build robots, somebody's got to fix the robots. Well, that's until the robots learn to fix themselves. Or you have robots that fix the robots. So the whole theory that automation was great, it created more jobs, more employment, more, higher wages, all this, it never came true. And now you have 2 employees doing the work of 8 to generate the same amount of revenue. So it's fine to offer, again, if I offer a counselor, right, I'm offering a job for $50,000 a year, and my competitor is offering the same job for $55,000 a year, but I provide a counselor that you can go access anytime. What do I care? I've got one employee, the counselor, to service all these people in my company, and I'm saving $5,000 an employee across the board. That counselor will pay for itself as a benefit. Right? So I can attract and retain talent, but those are still costs that will ultimately, those benefits are a double-edged sword that will suppress wage growth because I'm providing you a cheap benefit. And it will also encourage the outsourcing of tasks I will outsource those to either automation, artificial intelligence, robotics, or other countries that don't require those benefits. But this is going to be the challenge of the future, is this distraction between this idea of I want all these benefits. I want to travel and I want to have a life of leisure. I don't want to work that hard. I just want to work enough to make money, versus building sustainable wealth and creating wealth equality, which is the one thing that everybody complains about. You can't have both. All right, wraps up the show for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. Make sure and subscribe to our Before the Bell channel. That's our 3 minutes on markets and money that we put out every morning. Make sure you subscribe there so we'll notify you while you're at the website. It's also subscribe to our daily market commentary, our weekly newsletter. It's all there to help you manage your money better. RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow.